1927–28, Wings. Wings is a 1927 American silent and synchronized sound war film which won the first Academy Award for Best Picture. The film, a romantic action war picture directed by William A. Wellman, rewritten by scriptwriters Hope Loring and Louis D. Leighton from a story by John Monk Saunders to accommodate Clara Bow, Paramount's biggest star at the time, and released by Paramount famous Lasky Corporation. While the sound version of the film has no audible dialogue, it was released with a synchronized musical score with sound effects. The original soundtrack to the sound version is preserved at UCLA. Wellman was hired, as he was the only director in Hollywood at the time who had World War I combat pilot experience, although Richard Arlen and John Monk Saunders had also served in the war as military aviators. The film was shot on location on a budget of $2 million, equivalent to $28 million in 2023, on May 16, 1929. The first Academy Award ceremony was held at the Hotel Roosevelt in Hollywood to honor outstanding film achievements of 1927 to 1928. Wings was entered in a number of categories and was the first film to win the Academy Award for Best Picture, then called Best Picture, Production, and Best Engineering Effects for Roy Pomeroy for the year. It remains the only silent film to win Best Picture. The film was preserved by the Academy Film Archive in conjunction with the Library of Congress and Paramount Pictures in 2002. 1928–29, The Broadway Melody. The Broadway Melody, also known as The Broadway Melody of 1929, is a 1929 American pre-code musical film and the first sound film to win an Academy Award for Best Picture. The film was written by Norman Huston and James Gleason from a story by Edmund Golding and directed by Harry Beaumont. Original music was written by Arthur Freed and Natio Herb Brown, including the popular hit, You Were Meant for Me. It was one of the early musicals to feature a Technicolor sequence which sparked the trend of color being used in a flurry of musicals that would hit the screens in 1929 to 1930. The film was preserved by the Academy Film Archive in conjunction with the Library of Congress and Paramount Pictures in 2002, having been published in 1929. It entered the public domain on January 1, 2025. The film was nominated for 3 Academy Awards at the 1930 ceremony: Bessie Love for Best Actress, Harry Beaumont for Best Director and Outstanding Picture. No nominations were announced before the 1930 ceremonies. Bessie Love and Harry Beaumont are presumed to have been under consideration, and they are listed as such by the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. 1929–30, All Quiet on the Western Front. All Quiet on the Western Front is a 1930 American pre-code epic anti-war film based on the 1929 novel of the same name by German novelist Erich Maria Remarque and directed by Louis Milestone. The film opened to wide acclaim in the United States, considered a realistic and harrowing account of warfare in World War I. It made the American Film Institute's first 100 Years 100 Movies list in 1997. A decade later, after the same organization polled over 1,501 workers in the creative community, All Quiet on the Western Front was ranked the 7th best American epic film. In 1990, it was selected and preserved by the United States Library of Congress's National Film Registry, being deemed culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. The film was the first to win the Academy Awards for both Outstanding Production and Best Director, and it is the first Best Picture winner based on a finished novel. Due to being a film published in 1930, it will enter the public domain on January 1, 2026, following expiry of the copyright on the novel in 2024. A sequel to the film, The Road Back, 1937, portrays troops from 2nd Company returning home after the end of World War I. 1930–31, Cimarron. Cimarron is a 1931 pre-code epic western film starring Richard Dix and Irene Dunne, and directed by Wesley Ruggles. At the 1931 Academy Awards ceremony at the Biltmore Hotel in Los Angeles, Cimarron was the first film to receive more than 6 Academy Awards nominations and be nominated for the Big Five awards: Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress, and Best Writing. Additionally, it is one of only 2 films, the other being Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, to receive nominations in every eligible category. It won for Best Picture, Best Adapted Screenplay, written by Howard Estabrook and based on Edna Ferber's 1930 novel Cimarron, and Best Production Design, by Max Rhee. Both Richard Dix and Irene Dunne were nominated for their leading roles and Edward Cronjager for Best Cinematography but did not win. Epic in scope, spanning 40 years from 1889 to 1929, Cimarron was RKO's most expensive production up to that date, as well as its first production to win the Best Picture Oscar. It is the first of 4 westerns to ever win the top honor at the Academy Awards, being followed almost 60 years later by Dances with Wolves in 1990. Unforgiven in 1992, and No Country for Old Men in 2007. Due to being a film published in 1931, it will enter the public domain on January 1, 2027. 1931–32, Grand Hotel. Grand Hotel is a 1932 American pre-code drama film directed by Edmund Golding and produced by Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. The screenplay by William A. Drake is based on the 1930 play by Drake, who had adapted it from the 1929 novel Mention im Hotel by Vicky Baum. Grand Hotel has proven influential in the years since its release. The iconic line, "I want to be alone," famously delivered by Greta Garbo, placed number 30 in AFI's 100 Years 100 Movie Quotes. To date, it is the only film to have won the Academy Award for Best Picture without being nominated in any other category. In 2007, the film was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress for being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. 1932–33. Cavalcade. Cavalcade is a 1933 American epic pre-code drama film directed by Frank Lloyd. The screenplay by Reginald Berkeley and Sonia Levine is based on the 1931 play of the same title by Noel Coward. The film stars Diana Wynyard and Clive Brooke. The story presents a view of English life during the first third of the 20th century from New Year's Eve 1899 to New Year's Day 1933, from the point of view of well-to-do London residents Jane and Robert Marriott, their children, their close friends and their servants. Several historical events affect the lives of the characters or serve as background for the film, including the Second Boer War, the death of Queen Victoria, the sinking of the RMS Titanic and World War I. Throughout the film, the passage of years is indicated by dates on title cards with a medieval cavalcade marching in the background. The film won 3 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director. Due to being a film published in 1933, it will enter the public domain on January 1, 2029. 1934, It Happened One Night. It Happened One Night is a 1934 American pre-code romantic comedy film with elements of screwball comedy directed and co-produced by Frank Capra in collaboration with Harry Cohn. It is seen as one of the greatest films ever made and is one of only 3 films, along with One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and The Silence of the Lambs, to win all 5 major Academy Awards: Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress and Best Adapted Screenplay, and was the first film to win the Big 5 Academy Awards. In 1993, it was selected for preservation in the U.S. National Film Registry by the Library of Congress, being deemed culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. The film's copyright was renewed in 1962 and under current United States law it will enter the public domain on January 1, 2030. 1935, Mutiny on the Bounty. Mutiny on the Bounty is a 1935 American historical adventure drama film directed by Frank Lloyd and produced by Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. It dramatizes the mutiny of HMS Bounty and is adapted from the novels Mutiny on the Bounty and Men Against the Sea by Charles Nordhoff and James Norman Hall. Despite historical inaccuracies, the film was a huge box office success, becoming the highest-grossing film of 1935 and one of MGM's biggest hits of the 1930s. The film was also a major critical success and received a leading 8 nominations: Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Writing, Screenplay, Best Film Editing and Best Music Scoring. At the 8th Academy Awards winning Best Picture, this film is, as of 2023, the last Best Picture winner to win in no other category, following the Broadway Melody and Grand Hotel. It is the only film to have 3 Best Actor nominations. As a result of this, a Best Supporting Actor category was created for the Oscars, beginning with the following year's award ceremony. Ziegfeld. The Great Ziegfeld is a 1936 American musical drama film directed by Robert Z. Leonard and produced by Hunt Stromberg. It stars William Powell as the theatrical impresario, Florence Flo Ziegfeld Jr., Louise Rayner as Anna Held, and Myrna Loy as Billy Burke, one of the biggest successes in film in the 1930s and the pride of MGM at the time. It was acclaimed as the greatest musical biography to be made in Hollywood and still remains a standard in musical filmmaking. It won 3 Academy Awards, including Best Picture for producer Hunt Stromberg, Best Actress for Louise Rayner and Best Dance Direction for Seymour Felix, and was nominated for 4 others, according to MGM Records. The film earned a then massive $3,089,000 in the US and Canada and $1,584,000 elsewhere, resulting in a profit of $822,000. It was the 5th most popular film at the British box office in 1935–36. 1937, The Life of Emile Zola. The Life of Emile Zola is a 1937 American biographical film about the 19th-century French author Émile Zola starring Paul Muni and directed by William Dieterle. At the 10th Academy Awards, the film received 10 nominations, and thereby became the first film in Academy Award history to reach double digits for nominations, and won 3 awards. Best Picture, Supporting Actor, Best Writing and Screenplay. It is the second biographical film to win the Academy Award for Best Picture. It premiered at the Los Angeles Carthay Circle Theater to great critical and financial success. Contemporary reviews ranked it as the greatest biographical film made up to that time. Produced during the Great Depression and after the Nazi Party had taken power in Germany, the film failed to explore the key issue of anti-Semitic injustice in France in the late 19th century, when Zola became involved in the Dreyfus Affair and worked to gain the officer's release. Some recent studies have noted the film as an example of Hollywood's timidity at the time. Anti-Semitism was not mentioned in the film, nor was Jew said in dialogue. Some explicitly anti-Nazi films were cancelled in this period and other content was modified. This was also the period when Hollywood had established the production code, establishing an internal censor in response to perceived threats of external censorship. 1938, You Can't Take It With You. You Can't Take It With You is a 1938 American romantic comedy film directed by Frank Capra and starring Jean Arthur, Lionel Barrymore, James Stewart, and Edward Arnold, adapted by Robert Riskin from the Pulitzer Prize-winning 1936 play of the same name by George S. Kaufman and Moss Hart. The film is about a man from a family of rich snobs who becomes engaged to a woman from a good-natured but decidedly eccentric family. A critical and commercial success, the film received 2 Academy Awards, Best Picture and Best Director for Frank Capra. This was Capra's third Oscar for Best Director in just 5 years, following It Happened One Night, 1934, and Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, 1936. 1939, Gone with the Wind. Gone with the Wind is a 1939 American epic historical romance film directed by Victor Fleming and adapted from the 1936 novel by Margaret Mitchell, set in the American South against the backdrop of the American Civil War and the Reconstruction era. The film tells the story of Scarlett O'Hara, by Vivien Leigh, the strong-willed daughter of a Georgia plantation owner, following her romantic pursuit of Ashley Wilkes' fictional character, by Leslie Howard, who is married to his cousin Melanie Hamilton, by Olivia de Havilland, and her subsequent marriage to Rhett Butler, by Clark Gable. At the 12th Academy Awards, the film received 10 Academy Awards, 8 competitive and 2 honorary, from 13 nominations, including wins for Best Picture, Victor Fleming for Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, posthumously awarded to Sidney Howard, Vivien Leigh for Best Actress and Hattie McDaniel for Best Supporting Actress, becoming the first African American to win an Academy Award. It set records for the total number of wins and nominations at the time. 1940, Rebecca. Rebecca is a 1940 American romantic psychological thriller film directed by Alfred Hitchcock. It was Hitchcock's first American project and his first film under contract with producer David O. Selznick. The screenplay by Robert E. Sherwood and Joan Harrison and adaptation by Philip MacDonald and Michael Hogan were based on the 1938 novel of the same name by Daphne du Maurier. Rebecca was theatrically released on April 12, 1940 to critical and commercial success. It received 11 nominations at the 13th Academy Awards, more than any other film that year. It won 2 awards, Best Picture and George Barnes for Best Cinematography Black and White, becoming the only film directed by Hitchcock to win the former award. In 2018, the film was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. 1941, How Green Was My Valley. How Green Was My Valley is a 1941 American drama film directed by John Ford, adapted by Philip Dunn from the 1939 novel of the same title by Richard Llewellyn. The fictional village in the film is based on Gilfac Gotch, where Llewellyn spent many summers visiting his grandfather, and it served as the inspiration for the novel. The author had claimed that he based the book on his own personal experiences, but this was found to be untrue after his death. It was nominated for 10 Academy Awards, winning 5, famously beating Citizen Kane, Sergeant York, and The Maltese Falcon for Best Picture, while John Ford won for Best Director, Donald Crisp for Best Supporting Actor, Arthur Miller for Best Cinematography Black and White, and Richard Day, Nathan H. Huron and Thomas Little for Best Black and White Art Direction Interior Decoration. In 1990, the film was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry of the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. The Academy Film Archive preserved How Green Was My Valley in 1998. 1942, Mrs. Miniver. Mrs. Miniver is a 1942 American romantic war drama film directed by William Wyler and starring Greer Garson and Walter Pidgeon. Inspired by the 1940 novel Mrs. Miniver by Jan Struther, it shows how the life of an unassuming British housewife in rural England is affected by World War II. It was a critical and a commercial success, becoming the highest-grossing film of 1942 and winning 6 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, William Wyler for Best Director, Greer Garson for Best Actress, Teresa Wright for Best Supporting Actress, Best Adapted Screenplay and Best Cinematography, Black and White. It was the first film centered on World War II to win Best Picture and the first to receive 5 acting nominations. The film ranked 40th on the American Film Institute's list of most inspirational movies. A sequel, The Miniver Story, 1950, was made with Greer Garson and Walter Pidgeon reprising their roles. 1943, Casablanca. Casablanca is a 1942 American romantic drama film directed by Michael Curtiz and starring Humphrey Bogart, Ingrid Bergman and Paul Henreid. Filmed and set during World War II, it focuses on an American expatriate, Bogart, who must choose between his love for a woman, Bergman, and helping her husband, Henreid, a Czechoslovak resistance leader, escape from the Vichy-controlled city of Casablanca to continue his fight against the Nazis. The screenplay is based on Everybody Comes to Rick's, an unproduced stage play by Murray Burnett and Joan Allison. Casablanca went on to win the Academy Award for Best Picture, while Michael Curtiz was selected as Best Director and the Julius J. Epstein and Howard Koch were for Best Screenplay. 1944, Going My Way. Going My Way is a 1944 American musical comedy drama film directed by Leo McCarey and starring Bing Crosby and Barry Fitzgerald. The film is about a new young priest taking over a parish from an established old veteran. Bing Crosby sings 5 songs with other songs performed on-screen by Metropolitan Opera's star mezzo-soprano Rhys Stevens and the Robert Mitchell Boys Choir. Going My Way was the highest-grossing picture of 1944 and was nominated for 10 Academy Awards, winning 7, including Best Picture, Leo McCarey for Best Director and Best Original Motion Picture Story, Bing Crosby for Best Actor, Barry Fitzgerald for Best Supporting Actor, Frank Butler and Frank Cavett for Best Screenplay. Its success helped to make movie exhibitors choose Crosby as the biggest box office draw of the year, a record he would hold for the remainder of the 1940s. After World War II, Crosby and McCarey presented a copy of the film to Pope Pius XII at the Vatican. Going My Way was followed the next year by a sequel, The Bells of St. Mary's. 1945, The Lost Weekend. The Lost Weekend is a 1945 American drama film noir directed by Billy Wilder and starring Ray Milland and Jane Wyman. It was based on Charles R. Jackson's 1944 novel about an alcoholic writer. The film was nominated for 7 Academy Awards and won 4, Best Picture, Billy Wilder for Best Director, Ray Milland for Best Actor, Billy Wilder and Charles Brackett for Best Adapted Screenplay. It also shared the Grand Prix at the First Cannes Film Festival, making it one of only 4 films. The other 3 movies are being Marty, 1955, Parasite, 2019, and Honora, 2024, to win both the Academy Award for Best Picture and the highest award at Cannes. 1946, The Best Years of Our Lives. The Best Years of Our Lives, also known as Glory for Me and Home Again, is a 1946 American drama film directed by William Wyler. The film is about 3 United States servicemen readjusting to societal changes and civilian life after coming home from World War II. The 3 men come from different services with different ranks that do not correspond with their civilian social class backgrounds. It is one of the earliest films to address issues encountered by returning veterans in the post-World War II era. The film was a critical and commercial success. It won 7 Academy Awards. Best Picture, William Wyler for Best Director, Frederick March for Best Actor, Harold Russell for Best Supporting Actor, Daniel Mandel for Best Film Editing, Robert E. Sherwood for Best Adapted Screenplay and Hugo Friedhofer for Best Original Score. In addition, Russell was also awarded an honorary Academy Award, the only time in history that 2 such awards were given for a single performance. It was the highest-grossing film in both the United States and United Kingdom since the release of Gone with the Wind, and is the 6th most attended film of all time in the United Kingdom with over 20 million tickets sold. 1947, Gentleman's Agreement. Gentleman's Agreement is a 1947 American drama film directed by Elia Kazan. This film based on Laura Z. Hobson's best-selling 1947 novel of the same title. The film is about a journalist, played by Gregory Peck, who pretends to be Jewish to research an exposé on the widespread anti-Semitism in New York City and the affluent communities of New Canaan and Darien, Connecticut. It was nominated for 8 Academy Awards and won 3, Best Picture, Celeste Holm for Best Supporting Actress and Elia Kazan for Best Director. The movie was controversial in its day, as was a similar film on the same subject, Crossfire, which was released the same year, though that film was originally a story about anti-homosexuality, later changed to anti-Semitism. 1948, Hamlet. Hamlet is a 1948 British film adaptation of William Shakespeare's play of the same name, adapted and directed by and starring Laurence Olivier. Hamlet was Olivier's second film as director and the second of the 3 Shakespeare films that he directed. The 1936 As You Like It had starred Olivier, but had been directed by Paul Chinner. Hamlet was the first British film to win the Academy Award for Best Picture. It is the first sound film of the play in English. Olivier's Hamlet is the Shakespeare film that has received the most prestigious accolades, winning the Academy Awards for Best Picture and Best Actor and the Golden Lion at the Venice Film Festival. However, it proved controversial among Shakespearean purists, who felt that Olivier had made too many alterations and excisions to the 4-hour play by cutting 1.5 hours worth of content. 1949, All the King's Men. All the King's Men is a 1949 American political drama film written, produced, and directed by Robert Rawson. It is based on Robert Penn Warren's Pulitzer Prize-winning 1946 novel of the same name. It stars Broderick Crawford, John Ireland, Mercedes McCambridge, and Joanne Drew. The film centers on the rise and fall of an idealistic but ruthless politician in the American South, patterned after Louisiana Governor Huey Long. At the 22nd Academy Awards, the film was nominated for 7 Oscars and won 3, Best Picture, Best Actor for Broderick Crawford and Best Supporting Actress for McCambridge, making an impressive film debut. The film also won 5 Golden Globes and was nominated for the Golden Lion at the Venice Film Festival.